People always say schools are safe. Bright hallways, teachers everywhere, cameras on every corner, an environment built to protect you. But safety is an illusion, a soft lie we swallow until it's too late. I learned that the hard way. Not upstairs in a classroom, not in a crowded hallway. I learned it deep beneath the school, in a place where no one could hear me scream. Down in the basement, where the lights flicker, the hallways echo, and footsteps don't always belong to who you think. That day, I discovered something terrifying. Sometimes the real danger isn't the man with the gun. It's the one who stands silently in the dark, already waiting for you. I'd graduated college barely 2 months earlier, when I got an offer to return to my old high school. Not as a student, but as a tech intern. Office work, computer maintenance, server checks. Nothing exciting. Nothing that should have led me into hell. On paper, it sounded simple, almost boring. And honestly, that was exactly what I wanted. A quiet job in a familiar place felt like a break. They assigned me to the basement. Most people would have seen that as punishment. The basement was a forgotten universe buried under the school above. No windows, barely any lighting. Long concrete corridors lined with pipes, stacks of old furniture, rusted carts, dusty file boxes, dead printers and ancient projectors. The air always smelled faintly of metal and dust. But for me, it was perfect. Too perfect. Down there it was quiet. No screaming kids, no bells, no gossip. Just the low hum of the building systems and my own footsteps, if I wasn't careful. Hidden behind a maze of cabinets and old equipment was my office. Compared to the rest of the basement, it looked almost out of place. Big wooden desks, soft rolling chairs, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV, shelves full of cables and spare parts, and industrial AC that blasted the room like a freezer. Upstairs, classrooms turned into ovens. Down here, I sometimes had to keep a hoodie on. Most mornings, I would unlock the office, flip on the monitor lights, sit down with a cold drink, and feel like I was in my own little underground command center. It felt safe, controlled, mine. I had no idea that dream was about to turn into a nightmare. It started on a Tuesday, around lunch. The microwave had just beeped, and the smell of reheated pizza hung in the cold air. I was halfway through updating ancient software on one of the servers when my phone lit up. Caller ID, main office. They almost never called me directly. Usually they sent tickets or emails. I frowned and answered. "Hello?" The voice on the other end tried to sound calm, but the tremor cut through the static like a knife.
"We're in lockdown," the woman said. "Possibly armed individual inside the school. Stay where you are. Lock your door. Do not come upstairs."
Then she hung up. No explanation, no questions. Just those words, dropped into my day like a bomb. For a few seconds, I stared at my reflection in the dark monitor, phone still in my hand. My heart began pounding. The office suddenly felt smaller, like the walls had moved in. I stood up so fast, the chair rolled back and bumped the wall. I crossed the room in 3 steps, locked the door, slid the deadbolt into place, turned off the lights. The room fell into a dim blue glow from the monitor screens. The AC kept humming, but now the sound felt wrong, too loud, like it was calling attention. My fingers shook as I opened our group chat. Me. "You guys okay? What's going on?" Dave and Gary were upstairs. No response. Me. "Is this a drill or what?" Still nothing. I told myself it was probably an overreaction. Schools were paranoid now. Maybe someone saw something weird. Maybe in 10 minutes it would be declared a misunderstanding.
Then my phone buzzed. Gary. Dude, it's real. Some guy shot Mr. Buckley. Red shirt and a cap. Stay downstairs. Don't move.
My mouth went dry. I read it twice. Shot. Mr. Buckley. Real. Not a drill. The silence in the basement grew heavier, suffocating. No screams from above, no running, no slamming doors. Just the AC and the faint buzzing of the hallway lights. Then, I heard it. Footsteps. At first I thought I imagined them, but they grew clearer, slow, unhurried. Each echo rolling down the hallway like someone who knew exactly where they were going. Sweat slicked my palms. I backed away from the door, then dropped to the floor, sliding under the main desk. I tucked myself into the darkest pocket I could find. The carpet smelled like dust and old plastic. The underside of the desk pressed against my shoulders. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. The footsteps reached the door and stopped. The handle rattled. Soft, testing. Then came the tiny click of the lock turning. I squeezed my eyes shut. The door opened with a low creak. A silhouette filled the doorway. Tall, still, backlit by the weak hallway light. For a moment, I hoped it was a cop or security. But he didn't call out, didn't announce himself. He stepped inside, closed the door quietly, as if he didn't want anyone to know he was there. He didn't turn on the lights. He just moved deeper into the room. Drawers scraped open. Something metallic clinked. Papers rustled. A chair rolled an inch and hit the wall. He touched things that weren't his, searching, digging, hunting. Every tiny sound stabbed my nerves like needles. Hands shaking, I slid my phone out, screen dimmed. Me, Gary. Is he downstairs? Is the guy in the basement now? I hit send and shoved the phone into my pocket. The man froze. His head turned, slowly. Even in the dim light, I could tell when his eyes found me. Our gazes locked. Neither of us moved. Then he spoke. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. But his voice was too calm, too steady, like he practiced saying it. I swallowed and crawled out from under the desk, legs weak. "Who are you?" I asked. You watched me with an expression so empty, it made my stomach twist. "I'm here for my son," he said. "They told me to hide down here, safer in the basement." The story didn't fit. Why search drawers? Why stay in the dark? Why no fear? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed loudly. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. His eyes snapped toward me. I fumbled the phone. "Gary." "Don't trust him! He shot Mr. Buckley!" The words didn't compute at first. Then they did. The man stepped toward me. I stepped back. His calm expression shifted, like a mask falling. And then, from somewhere upstairs, a gunshot exploded. The ceiling shuddered. Dust rained from the vents. The sound punched my chest. That was the moment fear stopped being a feeling and became instinct. I ran. I bolted past him, out from behind the desk. For a second, I felt the heat of him beside me, like a shadow brushing my skin. And then I was in the hallway, my shoes slamming against the concrete. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The only thing ahead was the metal exit door, the one that led to the alley. The hallway seemed twice as long as usual. Every step felt thick, slow, like I was running through water. My lungs burned, my vision tunneled. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Not running, not panicked, just walking, steady, confident, like he knew I couldn't get away. I threw myself at the exit bar,
The door crashed open, and a blast of daylight hit me, blinding and brutal. Heat replaced the basement chill. I stumbled up the concrete steps 2 at a time, nearly falling. I grabbed the side of the building to steady myself. Then I saw them. Police cars, flashing lights, officers everywhere, radios crackling, guns raised. Outside, the world had erupted into controlled chaos, while I had been trapped under a desk. One officer spotted me and sprinted over, grabbing my arm. "Were you inside? Are you hurt?" "I was in the basement," I managed. "There's a guy down there, My voice cracked. Inside the school, more shouting erupted. Orders, footsteps, the sharp echo of people who were trained for this, in a way no one should ever have to be. Minutes later, they brought him out. The man from the basement emerged through another exit, hands cuffed behind his back, 2 officers flanking him. He didn't struggle, he didn't yell, he didn't cry. He just walked, eyes fixed straight ahead. That same unsettling calm painted across his face. No gun was found on him. The weapon belonged to someone else, the shooter upstairs. The shot I had heard was his last attempt to do something worse. But that didn't make the man from the basement safe.
It just made him something different. The rest of the day blurred into sirens, questions, and the exhausted silence that only comes after terror drains every muscle. I found Gary and Dave near the main office. They looked different. Older, hollow, shaken. No jokes, no nervous laughter. Just quiet clusters of students sitting on the floor, hugging their knees, staring at nothing. We were gathered in the auditorium, then released in small groups as parents arrived. Rumors spread faster than truth. Some said the man I'd seen was the shooter. Others said he was part of something bigger. Some insisted he'd been seen wandering the halls days before, watching classrooms. The truth came later, piece by piece. None of it made anything better. The man downstairs wasn't the gunman, but he also wasn't a harmless parent. He came through a maintenance door that should have been locked. He wasn't on any visitor list. He ignored staff. He moved through parts of the school no one told him to go to. He lied about having a child enrolled. No such student existed. When police questioned him, why he was there, what he was searching for, why he ended up in the basement with me, he gave short, vague answers. Nothing added up. They never released his name, never clarified whether he knew the shooter, never explained what he intended. All I could be sure of was this. A man who didn't belong was standing in the dark, completely calm, while the world above us fell apart. Even now, years later, I still see his face at the strangest times. Whenever I hear slow footsteps behind me in a quiet place, my body tenses before my mind catches up. I hear his voice in my head, soft, steady, too calm. "I'm not going to hurt you." People don't say that unless the thought has already crossed their mind. I don't work at that school anymore. I don't even like passing by it from the outside. The idea of going back into that basement feels impossible. I know it's just a room, just a hallway, just a door. But to me, it's the place where safety stopped being real. We grow up being told schools are safe, that bad things happen somewhere else, to other people. We're told that if we follow the rules, trust the system, we'll be protected. But that day in the basement taught me something I can never unlearn. Sometimes the monster isn't the one shouting threats or firing a gun. Sometimes the real horror is quieter. It walks in through a side door. It answers questions with calm lies. It watches you shake while telling you not to be afraid. Danger doesn't always kick down a door. Sometimes it slips in through a crack. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it whispers. If you're still here, listening to this, remember one thing.
Not every threat is obvious. Not every danger makes noise. Sometimes the scariest people are the ones who seem calm, the ones who stand exactly where they shouldn't be. Stay alert, stay safe. And if you want more true horror stories like this, stories that live in the quiet places we avoid thinking about, subscribe. Because somewhere, right now, another hallway is going silent, another door is being locked, and someone is realizing the world isn't as safe as they were taught to believe.